It's 12:25. This is Wednesday, August 17th. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee of the Local Development Corporation. The following board members are here. Callahan, Mr. Scheit, Mr. Trotta, Mr. Braun, and also joining the meeting via Zoom, Mr. Gucci and Mr. Polakowski.
Oh, yes, sure, I can read that. Today's meeting has been convened in accordance with Chapter 56 of the laws of 2022, effective April 9th, 2022, permitting local governments to hold public meetings by telephone and video conference. And just to take it a little bit further, Governor Hochul has extended the state disaster emergency set forth in Executive Order 11, which continues the suspension and modification of the laws contained in Executive Order 11 and its successors through September 12th, and that includes open meeting laws.
Minutes of our meeting of September 15th of 2021 and circulated to everyone. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
That was Anne Marie made the motion
Oh,
and
sorry.
Frank Trotta, Anne Marie Scheit made the motion and Frank Trotta seconded it. Thank you, guys. We'll get used to it.
Are there any questions, corrections? Hearing none on the vote. Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Scheit?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Votes yes, the motion carries. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Two things I want to mention to the Finance Committee is the budget. We're starting the process for the 2023 budget. It's a combination of both a zero-based budget, meaning I start with nothing and work up, and I also look at prior years and periods. The budget's due to the ABL by October 31st, so we're in line to meet that deadline. The other thing I want to mention is our banking arrangements. Rates have continually crept up, and we're starting to get a little bit more on our accounts. I mean, we're not at a full 1% yet, but we're closer and closer every day. Today, that's another notification from one of our banks saying they're up to 0.9%. So we're almost at 1%. So I just want to mention that. Any questions?
Anything else, Lori?
No. Not for the LDC.
Lisa, anything else? No.
No, I don't have anything for the Finance Committee. Thank you.
In case I need a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Finance Committee of the Local Development Corporation.
So moved. Martin Callahan.
Second, Anne Marie Scheit.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Scheit.
Yes.
Mr. Trotta.
Yes.
Mr. Grucci.
Yes.
Polakowski.
Yes.
Lauren votes yes. We are adjourned. We'll move into the Finance Committee meeting of the Industrial Development Agency. It is 12:28. This is Wednesday, August 17th. And the following board members are present: Callahan, Scheit, Mr. Trotta, Mr. Braun, and on Zoom, Mr. Grucci and Mr. Polakowski. Minutes of September 15th, 2021 meeting have been circulated to everyone. Motion to accept.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Trotta. Second.
Second, Anne Marie Scheit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, corrections? Hearing none. On the vote, Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Scheit.
Yes.
Mr. Trotta.
Yes.
Mr. Grucci.
Yes.
Polakowski.
Yes.
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 Accepted. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Lori.
Okay. I wanted to mention that we're working on budget for 2023 for the IDA. It's in process. Again, we use a combination of the zero-based budgeting, starting from scratch and figuring out what the correct assumption should be. And we also do consider past results. It's due to the ABL by the end of October, so we're in line with meeting that deadline. Any questions on that? Another item I just want to mention is banking. The banks that we've been dealing with have continued to increase their interest rates. They're still pretty low, but we're almost at 1%. So we're getting there. Today we got notification in Hanover increased the rate to 0.9%. So we continue to follow up with them and ask them to do better. Any questions on that? Last item is insurance. The IDA policies start on 8/12/2022 for the 2022-23 period. So we've gone through that whole process with them. The rates actually have gone down and have gone up on different policies. The one policy that we're moving to a different carrier is our cyber crime. It went from 2,000 in 2020, 4,000 in 2021 to almost 8,000 in 2022. So we switched carriers. Went with a different carrier who brought it back down to 3,000. The deductible is changing, but we're also trying to see if they'll come down a little on the deductible. You know, we did well. We did well with all the insurances as far as year to year.
I've seen some increases.
Yeah. It was $600, which isn't even a percent, so, yeah.
That's because we're all very well behaved.
With regard to coverage, has the coverage stayed the same even though the rates have gone down? I mean, better than.
The coverage is exactly the same, except for only the cybercrime. Cybercrime policies, the insurance brokers spent a lot of time with us. There's been a lot of claims in cyber industry, so they're looking to increase our deductible from 10,000 to 25,000. But the alternative is a triple increase in the policy cost, so we're trying to come to a meeting of the minds. So currently, we're trying to keep the same coverage as far as our.
And you understand why too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
well, with you too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're online presence, it's gonna cost you more.
Anything else, Lauren?
That was it on the finance committee.
Any other questions for Lori? There is none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Finance Committee of the Industrial Development Agency.
So Marty Callahan.
Second, Frank Trotta.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Scheich?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Polakowski?
Yes.
One vote yes, we are adjourned. All right. Now we move into the Local Development Corporation meeting. It's Wednesday, August 17th. It is 12:33. Following board members are here. Mr. Callahan, Mr. Scheich, Mr. Trotta, Mr. Braun, and on the group Zoom, Mr. Grucci, and Mr. Polakowski. A quorum is present. Minutes of our meeting of July 19th, 2022 have been sent to everyone. I have a motion to accept.
Motion, Frank Trotta.
Thank you.
Second, Emery Fire.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none. On the vote, Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Scheich?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Markowski?
Yes.
One votes yes, and minutes have been accepted. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, included in your package is a year-to-date budget versus actual for June 2022, and a comparison to pro rata of the budget for those 6 months. During the month, we had no activity as far as revenue other than investment earnings. The rest of our recurring expenses are recurring costs that we just allocate throughout the year, so everything is in line. Although year-to-date, we're still in the red, 40,000, we're ahead of budget, which had us year-to-date in the red for 52,000 approximately. The one thing I did want to mention, we'll see actually next month in July that we did receive the money from one of our projects that owed us back admin fees for 7,000. So that's really the only thing that we expect for the LDC. Questions?
And just to point out, that was something that was picked up in the OSC's report. So we responded to them because we did say that it had been collected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and in line with that, I do want to mention that. So we did receive that formal report from the state on July 15th, and we have 90 days to respond on October 15th. Lisa and I, but Lisa Moore is ahead of the schedule, and our response is pretty much ready to send, but we're just continuing tweaking that.
Do they publish that response?
In the final report, our our response that we already sent to them was published in it, and now we have to send them the next step is a corrected action plan, which I don't believe those get published.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Last thing I want to mention as far as the LDC goes is that all payroll taxes have been paid within accordance with federal and state guidelines. All regulatory reports have been filed in a timely fashion. All state regulatory payments have been made in accordance with state guidelines in a timely fashion. That information, Fred. Any questions?
Anything else for Lori?
Another sterling performance.
Motion to accept the report, please.
So move, Anne Marie Schight.
Is there a second?
Second, Martin Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter,
Yes,
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Polkowski.
yes,
Votes yes, the opposed report has been approved.
We have a couple of resolutions on the agenda. The first is for a hybrid meeting. We had a public hearing today. There was no participation and no comment. And basically what this public hearing allows us to do is, once you pass this resolution, it allows us to have 4 members of our board in person. By having 4 members of our board in person, it allows us to have other members join electronically through Zoom or another video conferencing option. And one of the things that we have to do is to define extraordinary circumstances. So what we define them as, and the extraordinary circumstances are what allow you to join by Zoom. So you can join by Zoom or video conference if you have a disability and illness, you're quarantining, you have caregiver responsibilities, you're out of the state, or any other significant or unexpected factor or event approved by the board chair. So those are the reasons why you don't have to be here, but you can join through Zoom.
But we need a minimum of 4 people.
We must have 4 in person.
and that's the legislation that says 4 in person.
Yes. Well, it says it says a quorum in person,
Okay,
which
Okay.
translates
Four
to quorum.
cases, 4.
gotcha, okay.
Does anyone have any questions on that? We have a motion.
We need a motion. We need a motion.
Frank Trotta,
Thank you.
second, Anne Marie Schight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On the vote, Mr. Polakowski,
yes,
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Trotter,
yes,
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, motion carries.
So the next 2 resolutions on the agenda are the result of a letter that I received recently. Lenore Paprocki had to resign from our board. She asked me to express her appreciation to everybody. She found herself in a situation that she couldn't stay on, but she really did enjoy her time here. And as a result of Lenore stepping off the board, we have an open position, which is being worked on. And we also have to change our resolution that lists our slate of officers. We need to remove Lenore's name from that resolution. So can I have a motion?
Martin Callahan, so moved.
second, Frank Trotta.
Thank you. And what happened is the organization she was working for was acquired, and the acquirer said that any employee was not allowed to have an outside position, paid or unpaid, with a political connection. So once she was appointed by the town board, she had to resign from any LDC.
tell her we're sorry and we'll miss her.
We have,
Yes.
there's a resolution on the table, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes,
Polakowski,
yes,
Grucci.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, that motion carries.
The next resolution is the same thing. Lenore is listed on our governance, audit, and finance committees. So we need another resolution to remove her from those committees as well.
move, Anne Marie Schight.
Second, Martin Callahan.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Anne Marie,
Yes,
Trotter,
yes,
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Polakowski,
yes,
Yes, that motion carries.
We only have a few more items, so the board member listing is just that Lenore put in her resignation. Fred, do you want to talk about the board assessments?
Sure. The same three general items come up every year when we do these board assessments. One, whether I think people don't have a true feeling as to whether or not we're serving the community the way we should. And that gets us to the question of what is the community? Who are we responsible to? I think primarily commercial industrial, although those organizations also have employees. Salaries of those employees spin through the community and everything else. Correct. And
Not for
not-for-profit
profit,
at the LDC. But the same questions came up in both assessments. Because we do it for both organizations. And I don't know how to answer that question any different. Everybody's got thoughts about it. I've seen some of your comments. Do a wonderful job with what we do. I'm not sure how far down our responsibilities go as it relates to individuals and employees.
Fred, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. I'm not following the conversation. What was the point of the conversation?
As it related to the board assessments and the comments, and three areas they focused on, and one was whether we are serving the community to the best that we can. And I guess that gets to what the definition of the community is. Is it, and I'm talking about the LDC, but it, you know, the same applies for the IDA, as to what is the community? You know, does it include, you know, the mom and pop stores? Probably not, but I think other people have opinions about that. Or even all the employees of the, you know, 100 projects that we have active right now. I think we do a good job.
I think we do a great job, but you know, I mean, I'm one of those people, so, you know, that, you know, maybe it isn't our responsibility, but I'm not totally clear on it, maybe, with regard to serving the area, the industrial part, the, you know, that we're doing, I mean, what we're doing great at. When we get to a lower level, you know, I don't know if it's a helping hand that we can offer in a better way, but, you know, I always feel that, you know, not necessarily Main Street, but small businesses could certainly use a hand from us, and we have a lot of tools. Whether we're doing it or not, or whether it's our responsibility or not, I'm not sure, but that's where I get, when I fill that out, that's what you're hearing from me.
I think this came out loud and clear. We talked about the PPP loans.
Yes,
Yeah. Whether we had that discussion as to whether or not we should be doing that.
Right.
And my individual opinion was that there are other organizations around that are better serve that population than us trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with a loan program here and administer that very same loan. I don't think there's a black and white answer to this question.
no, I just feel that, you know, there's a lot of businesses in Brookhaven town that, you know, could benefit by us in a lot of different ways. And, you know, whether it's part of our charge to do that, I'm not totally sure, but, you know, in my heart, I wish it was, or we could be doing a better job in helping small businesses survive through the times, becoming aware of things that they may not be aware of, that they could take advantage of to help their business, their employees. Again, it may not be our charge, so, you know, I'm not saying I'm not one, but that's where you get my reaction from it. And, you know,
Obviously,
I don't know how anybody else feels, but that's, you know.
a tremendous amount of PPP loans have been made over the past 2 years. Unfortunately, as you get to read the paper, not unexpectedly, huge amount of fraud.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
for that. And, you know, inspector generals or inspectors, are having a lot of fun going after all
Yeah.
those people.
Right. You know, and for the real businesses that, you know, that benefited by the PPP, it was a life preserver to get them through the roughest of days.
I said, I don't know if we're gonna have an answer for this, but something we can do.
Yeah, and I'd like to discuss it and, see if there's any opportunities there.
Second area with education.
Could I just comment
Sure.
on that?
I have a,
I sort of think about it in two ways, and because we deal with this with our economic development programs at the university. We don't create jobs. Companies create jobs. They create jobs, they hire people. We help them to do that, and that's what this agency does. We don't create jobs either. We help the companies to create jobs. And one of the ways that we can look at it is that they are often larger companies. And so one of the ways that you look at the jobs is, yeah, they hire people. So those are, some economists call them direct jobs. And then all of those people go out and shop at the mom and pops. And that's called induced or something or other. I'm not sure what the technical term is. But in any case, the fact that there are large and medium-sized dogs out there that are hiring people also means that there are people with money in their pockets who go and spend it primarily, especially during COVID, in local businesses.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, those are the kinds of tools that we have. Now,
But somebody may not be aware of that. I mean, sometimes, whether it be, I guess, individuals gravitate towards government to get to find out what might or might not be available. And so that's where we kind of sort of come into the picture.
and it's not
I just
it's
feel
not
that-
just us.
Yeah, there's a lot of
right?
tools
It's
out
other-
there.
It's other
but,
programs that the town has
They're-
to make businesses aware
But-
of.
can I jump in? Because obviously the Economic Development Department is no longer. Is there any possibility, Fred, of a committee like our finance committee, audit committee? Is there a possibility, and is there precedent across any other IDAs to to have a small business focus?
The answer is yes. I can't speak specifically to any other IDAs upstate, but there are several. There are several that got money many years ago for revolving loan funds, which continue and have expanded as those loans were paid back. There are opportunities. Some of those IDAs are considerably larger in terms of their employees, board members, and everything else, so they could run it a little bit differently than we do.
Well, we had voted a few years back on a marketing budget that we never reacted to or
That's my next topic.
that being said, I mean, there are pockets that we could tap into if we, if we chose as a board to add that focus. Frank, what do you think about an idea of a committee that dealt with the small businesses in that way?
Yeah, I mean, that might be an answer. I think, one of the things Fred just brought up is, there are examples of other IDAs doing things, and maybe, if we had a conversation about some other things, maybe that the end result of that kind of conversation might come out to be a committee.
Right.
But, I think we got to look at what we can do. And then, so maybe we can gather some information and.
And keep in mind that we're in the LDC right now. So although this is a completely appropriate conversation for the LDC, it would be focused more so on not-for-profits, workforce development, that kind of
Yes.
avenue through the LDC. A little bit different than the IDA, but not a bad place to have a conversation. I just want to point that out to everybody.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I think every bank, has small business units that work with the SBA. A credit union, as you probably know, does the same thing. And then there's New York Business Development Corporation.
Right.
Which I do some work with,
Yeah.
which is doing the same thing. So these are experienced organizations that have much better handle on that than if we tried to start from scratch.
No, and you know what? I've always been one of these people that, I never I like to replicate what somebody else is doing, not create something just because, and so, if you kind of look at what's being done in other places, look at what tools we have in our community to use, just the ones, similar to what you just talked about. Maybe there's something there that we as an organization can do to bring that all together.
So,
Or not, but you need to explore it and then you find out,
But Fred just pointed to entities that provide loan funds. In addition to that, the Small Business Development Center provides absolutely no cost advisory services.
we send people there all the time.
And
regularly.
they're half existing small business, half entrepreneurs, and their counselors work with with the commercial lenders as well as so forth. And they have an excellent record of helping people get to the point where they're bankable, which is not the kind of service that we would be in a position.
No, and again, we don't want to duplicate what somebody else is doing, but we can be a conduit to bring it together and point people in a direction, because while there's all these tools out there, I don't know, I'm in a small business. And, I talk to a lot of other small business people, and you all may think that, because you know about the, these loan sources, and you may know about these counseling sources. I can tell you that small businesses do not know what's available. Now, you can say it's their own fault, but they're out there trying to make a living, keep their employees in check, and employed, and to keep their business together in these hard times. So what I'm saying is, there are sources out there. We don't have to replicate those sources, but just being a conduit to maybe bring them together might be a good mission to start with small business, as opposed to, and maybe, I know we do some seminars and things like that. We work with chambers, but maybe we can think of another way to be able to get that information and to let them know that that stuff is available.
So,
If we do that, we're at least working in a direction of small business.
Gary?
Gary?
We work with Discover Long Island, and one of the conversations we had way back when, as we were embarking on adding dollars for marketing and to attract businesses to our area, was how would we do that with video? How would we do that with some of the different social media out there? Well, I mean, in that same flavor as what Frank is talking about, to be a conduit, we need to really be able to not just attract people here and spend dollars in marketing, but we need to also be a resource available. So I do think that as we keep talking about this, that perhaps a committee that focuses on small business, on small business in general, would be helpful, because we could put some dollars to that to attract businesses just to become aware of our services, as well as perhaps services that we don't offer, and we can redirect them.
the two things I just want to make sure everybody's aware of, we routinely, granted, it's only the people who think to call us. So that's part, I get it, totally, I get it. But anybody who calls us, we get them in touch with all of the services that are out there. We give them a laundry list of, if you need help with this, you should reach out to them. If you're thinking about this, you should consider that. The other thing that I want to make sure that everybody knows is that Amy and I have been spending a decent amount of time working with the incubators at Fred too. We've done a whole bunch of tours. We've been out. I don't know if any of you saw that there was an accident at the Calverton incubator. We got a phone call right away to try and help them find some space, which is not the easiest thing in the world for food manufacturers, but we've been working with all of them. When we went and sort of started looking at them a little bit more carefully, I sent an email to all the attorneys and I said, our systems are not set up to help the real small guys. If you don't need I'm gonna throw out a number, 10,000 square feet of space, it doesn't make sense to come through us. It could vary, it could be less, it could be more, but a lot of times it's not gonna make sense to come through us. So I had a lot of conversations with our attorneys to see if there was a way to set up a small business program. And the truth of the matter is, the IDA is not set up for that. It doesn't really, we're jamming a small peg in a round hole. It just doesn't really work. That's not to say that there isn't a potential program out there, but and appropriate that we're in the LDC, it's probably gonna end up being an LDC program,
Right.
not an IDA program, because the IDA has a
Different
focus
Yep.
and does what the IDA does. The LDC, and Barry, you could chime in if you disagree, but the LDC has a broader focus, and we could do workforce development. It's a heavy lift, but I think a committee, so we're not spending, hours of the board's meeting talking about this, might be an appropriate way to pick through it and figure out what really does make sense.
And I want to be clear, I know what Anne Marie's organization over at Stony Brook does. I know the Farmingdale program and Anne Marie, I'm saying that, I know what you guys do at Stony Brook and over at Farmingdale and, they do a great job. My point was a lot of small people may not know about that. So part of what, we might be able to do is, as was just said, is direct more people in those directions to the resources. But, it's something to
Business
examine, something to discuss and, not get over crazy about it. But, I think if we can add that to our repertoire, something to help smaller businesses,
Lisa
I
and
think
I,
we'd be doing a good thing for the community.
Lisa and I will put our heads together.
Yeah.
More with Amy and everybody else.
Yeah.
See if we can come back with some suggestions.
Yeah, and then we could talk about it.
The other two things, one, education. We throw a lot of things at you, articles. Not sure what more you want. And I'm not sure whose comment that was, so I'm not looking at
It's a
anybody
while ago.
specific. It's a while
You
ago.
can't credit me with that one.
Okay. If you think you need some more, or you want some more, just let us know, and we'll try and get you in the right direction. We send out as much as we possibly can, based on what we see come across our desk.
I mean, that's it,
And the last one was market. This started 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember it very distinctly. It was to set aside a pool of $250,000 with a very specific focus of attracting companies from Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York City. There has yet to be any company that is ever located on Long Island that has come from Connecticut and New Jersey. We just don't have the land as they do upstate, and it works very well upstate, to be able to attract those kind of companies. I continue to believe that the marketing campaign is focused on Queens and Brooklyn and maybe New York City. As everybody pushes east, we've seen that a number of times. I still think that's a better way to go than to try and, just shotgun the whole area.
Absolutely endorse that, Fred. One of the things that is enriched our incubator program is startups that find it's too expensive to start up in New York City. And they come out to us from Manhattan, from Brooklyn, because and they know that if they get started here, that's where there's space to grow, here in Brookhaven.
Assuming you open the third building, that would be nice.
Don't know how painful that is.
We have no response to a letter, by the way. Zero.
You are not the only ones who have not received responses from that source. And when we're not being reported in another situation, there is more that we can say.
Do we have anything else on the board assessments?
I think this was a good discussion, though. Thank you, Fred. I mean,
Right, and we need to establish our date for September.
Yes, that's the last item on the agenda. At our last meeting, we discussed September 27th at, like a 12:30 start. The governor just extended the emergency, but it only goes through September, what did I say, 12?
Which is a Monday.
Yeah. So that doesn't really help us with the 27th, but now we have the option, as long as we have a quorum in person, and that gives anyone else who has an extraordinary circumstance the option to join electronically.
On the 27th?
or the 27th. Or we could just
No,
move the meeting.
If we gotta do the 28th, it would be an early meeting.
what time would the meeting be?
The 27th, we can do it at the same time.
What's in?
That's 9 o'clock.
12:30, 12:30?
I have to be physically at another meeting at 4 o'clock that day. So
We'll get
you
you.
can get me
I
out
promise.
that day at like
It's
3:30.
been on the calendar already, correct? You guys did
Well,
this in
we-
January.
No, it's not, the September 27th you're talking about?
Yes.
Is it? No, we have it in for the 28th.
Well,
Well, so it was in for the 28th, and then last meeting, we talked about moving it to the 27th.
Right.
So,
Oh, because it's.
Oh, 28th, I'm out of town.
yeah,
Are we moving the meeting from the 28th to the 27th?
we're
Yes.
discussing.
Yes, Felix,
It's still at 9 AM.
No, at 12.
12.
12, okay.
We can't do none, we can't do earlier.
Always,
okay.
I'm always available earlier.
12:30.
12:30.
Can't do it.
Okay.
Okay, what was the time on the 27th?
12:30, Felix.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further,
We need a resolution
So that is the 27th,
at 12:30.
12:30 at on the 27th. September.
we need a resolution to that effect.
So moved. Gary?
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Second? I'll second it. Make it
There you
easy.
go.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Shea.
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Grucci.
Yes.
McCuskey.
Yes.
One votes yes, we are adjourned.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
I did too, so they'll send us new reminders, right? They'll send us a new calendar, invite somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right, it is now 1:02.
Please,
This is a
send us new
meeting of
calendar.
the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency. Following board members are present. Mr. Callahan, Mr. Scheit, Mr. Trotter, Mr. Braun, and on Zoom, Mr. Polakowski and Mr. Grucci. A quorum is present.
Because we have some guests, I was thinking maybe we should take some of the applications and the resolutions out of order. So I'm gonna skip down to the first application that we have, which is Medford Logistics.
Yep.
Give me one. So Medford Logistics LLC is the contract vendee for 440 Express Drive South. It's a 30.08 acre vacant parcel. The plan is for 390,000 square feet of industrial warehouse for 1 to 4 tenants. The end users are currently unknown. It's a $121.5 million project, and they plan to, their application indicates they'll have between 35 and 50 full-time equivalent employees. Once the project is completed, there's a request for mortgage recording tax exemption, sales and use tax exemption, and they're requesting a 15-year pilot. And as Fred just slid over to me, there was an article about this today in Newsday. It did not make your packet.
That's the same one or not?
I don't think this was just from today, right, Fred?
No.
From yesterday. So this, I don't think this is in there, in the packet.
Then when you
I'm
go, your
fixing
battery.
I'm fixing the meeting.
No, then when your batteries run down.
Oh, no.
But that's not our project.
I'm sorry. Yes, this is
dollar value?
121.5 million.
Thank you.
But that is over.
Yeah, this is our project. It was, I'm sorry, this is today's paper, although it may have been online yesterday.
All right.
Yeah. So
So we're just accepting the application.
we're just
now?
accepting the application. So that's what's in front of you. And Council Garrett Gray is on the meeting if anybody has any questions about the application or the project.
The warehouse.
It's a spec warehouse, which I'll just, an aside, it's later on, I was just gonna mention to you. I got a first draft of the study that we commissioned. It wasn't really ready to share, so it'll be ready for our next board meeting, definitely, but they've made really good progress on giving us some parameters to think about. But all we're asking right now is that you accept the application.
I have a motion.
I was
I'll
gonna
make
ask,
the motion, Felix Grucci, but a
Is there a
question,
second? Is there a second?
second,
Mr. Trotter, thank you.
question, Fred?
Yes, go ahead.
Uh, It seems that my memory serves me correctly, that we've been getting a lot of applications for spec warehouses. Do we have a number, an inventory of how many applications are in the pipeline for these types of spec warehouses? And how much square footage we're talking about? And what is the, for these, spec warehouses?
Felix?
Yes,
Okay, so that's what I was just referencing, is that we commissioned a study of the spec warehouse projects that are anticipated, not only in Brookhaven, but also in Suffolk County. It's not completed. I got a first draft, but it needs some more work. Otherwise, I would have presented it today. But it'll be ready for our September meeting, but we're not quite there yet, but I will have a whole bunch of information, a very, very thorough study to you in the next few weeks. I'm gonna try to get it to everybody for plenty of time to digest it prior to our September meeting. And also, I don't know if it was in this packet, it may have been in this packet, the Newsday article, it was in this packet, the Newsday article from August 7th, I think, that outlined the movement towards spec industrial warehouse on Long Island, outlines a lot of these projects. So that's a reference for you in the packet, but our study, once it's completed, will be another reference for you.
Felix, everything-
thanks,
no, we-
Lisa. The system, I guess, is just a little choppy. Sometimes I don't hear all the words. So for the attorney, I'm wondering if it might make sense for him to wait until our next meeting before putting the application forward and making all of the fees, and then finding out that we may not need all this spec warehousing.
Actually, we'd like to move forward with the application now. We're confident that there is a severe demand, excuse me, for warehouses of this type, and particularly in this location. My client has vast experience in constructing these types of warehouses, having built a very large warehouse, almost 200,000 square feet in Hicksville, that is now a Home Depot appliance warehouse and doing very well. As you'll see in the study that was in the report from Newsday, I believe it was August 7th, the vacancy rate of these warehouses is extremely low, less than 2%, and demand is only getting higher and higher. Obviously, this isn't a if you build it, we hope they'll come. This is a if you build it, we know they'll come. My client, again, has vast experience in this business and would not waste $120-something million constructing a building that's going to lie fallow.
I appreciate that, and it's certainly your client's privilege and to go forward with the application. The vacancy rate that you've identified, we're not sure yet until we see the study where that vacancy rate lies. I'd hate like heck to have this, to find out that the 2% vacancy rate would all fall into Brookhaven town. That would not be good for any of us. But if you choose to go forward, I'll support your the acceptance of your application. I was just thinking to save you some monies if indeed the study indicates there isn't a need for this much warehousing in Brookhaven.
Now, if we hadn't determined that there was a severe need, even before your expert analyzed it, we wouldn't be doing this.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor, in the application, you talk about 1 to 4 tenants, without identifying tenants or potential tenants. the type of tenants that would be at this location, or the type of products or goods or that would be at that location. Can you give me a sense of that, please?
Sure. The reason why it's set up as one for tenants, the design of the building is such that there's loading docks on two sides of the building, and on the opposite two sides is parking. So if you bisect it into four, each unit would get loading docks and parking. As far as the types of tenants, we're talking traditional warehouse tenants. We're not talking like an Amazon last mile. The building couldn't support it. It wouldn't make sense. There's not enough parking. There's not enough room. So you're talking typical a Home Depot, a Lowe's that, for example, delivers appliances or goods from a central location to various locations throughout the island.
Thank you.
How big is the warehouse that you're proposing?
390,000 square feet.
And it would be divided equally, the footage, the square footage for the four potential? clients?
Only if there were four. I mean, ideally, we'd like a single tenant user.
Okay,
But the building is set up that if need be, it can be cut into two or into four.
gotcha. Thank you.
You bet.
Next, the Newsday article, which was written by James Bedore, who understands IDAs probably as well as anybody.
Yes.
If you look at that article, if you look at the draft that you haven't seen yet, but I have, of the report that's done for us, plus two independent reports for other projects, I don't think there's any question there's a need right now. One of the articles or one of those reports also said that sometimes as much as 25% of those proposed never get built.
Mhm.
But I think if all of that built that are proposed around Long Island, the last one in could well have a problem.
That's why we don't want to be last one in.
I understand that. Thank you, Gary. Any other questions for Mr. Gray? If not, we need a motion to accept the application.
No, I think
We did that.
We accepted the application.
Can we take the vote?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't go around
Oh,
saying,
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't call the vote.
you didn't call the vote.
I will do that.
You had a motion and a second.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Groshi.
Yes.
Votes yes, the application is accepted. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Medford Gardens LLC. Can we bring them in? This is a project, the application is in your packet. It's from Well Life. This is the north side of Horse Block Road in Medford. It's east of 112, east of the Target. It's not really diagonally across from the Target, it's a little further down, but that general area. It's 6 acres of vacant land. They plan to build a 3-story, 67-unit, 100% affordable senior apartment complex. They will be providing supportive services for their residents, and their residents will have some sort of a need for supportive services. They'll have disabilities, HIV/AIDS, mental health challenges. They'll be frail, elderly. And these supportive services will be provided through on-site direct service professionals. They're also going to be building an on-site STP. Their plan is to create 7 full-time equivalent positions. It's a $34 million project. They're requesting mortgage recording tax exemptions, sales and use tax exemptions, and they've requested a 30-year pilot, which would be coterminous with their financing. And because this is 100% affordable and they're going to be getting tax credits, our uniform tax exemption policy allows us to have our pilot coterminous with their financing. Does anybody have any questions about the project?
Who's on the call representing?
Amy, who's on the call?
We have John. John,
Yes, John Palmy on behalf of the applicant. Hi, everyone.
And you have Larry Stolple on behalf of the applicant? Hello,
I'm
everybody.
trying to move Sherry Tucker over, but she doesn't.
She's the CEO of the company.
My apologies. I've made 2 attempts. I'm going to try one more time.
It sounds like a wonderful project. I'm curious, are there any other projects like that on Long Island or the metropolitan area?
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Are there any other similar projects of your organization, either on Long Island or in the metropolitan area?
So our client actually offers services for over 1,000 beds throughout New York City and Long Island. So they do have a presence on Long Island, but this will be a substantial one in the heart of Medford.
Fred, I didn't hear the beginning again, but let me just ask the question. Do they need to change the zone for this application?
So the zoning entitlements are being worked on, and I believe that's already been taken care of. They have separate counsel handling that. But as far as I'm concerned, that's already in the works. Any variances?
Is Annette on with us?
That's here.
Annette,
Yeah.
has the town, is this in front of the town board for a change of zone?
Hold on, I'm sorry, hold on one second.
We're checking now.
I'm pretty sure they have the correct zoning.
Yeah, I think so too.
So our
Yeah.
application provides that a change of zone to PRC residence decision was approved in June of this year.
Yeah,
what I thought.
that's what I thought, sorry.
Okay, but I just wanted to make sure that that went first before we did.
Of course.
Felix, I don't bring you applications unless the zoning is correct. So like the Medford Logistics has actually been sitting on my desk for a little while because they didn't have the zoning completed. They got the zoning on the 11th. I brought it forward today. So I keep an eye on that for you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Marie, do you have a question?
Just what's the affordable, what is the affordable income range for this project?
Sure. So the way that the project's being structured is it's 66 units. One unit will be for the superintendent, and that's a 2-bedroom unit. It's the only 2-bedroom unit. All the remaining 66 units will be 1-bedroom units. 33 units are going to be for the supportive housing. And so those are targeted for individuals with a specific need, whether it be frail, elderly, mentally challenged, etc. The remaining 33 units will be on an income based level, and we're proposing 40%, 50%, and 60% of AMI.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Where else do you have facilities?
I'm sorry,
Where else do you have facilities or projects?
Sherry, do you mind just chiming on your other projects?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sherry Tucker, CEO of Welllife. Thank you for inviting us to join today. We have a number of projects all throughout New York City. We have another project in Nassau County that is a tax credit funded project. It's a 50-unit building that's 100% for supportive units for mental health challenges. The other buildings that we have in New York City are mixed use like this. We have one in Queens, 2 in Brooklyn, and 1 in the Bronx. And they are a variety of sizes and shapes and a number of populations in there, but for the most part, they are addressing mixed or the mental health challenges.
So this is your first project in Brookhaven?
It's the first project of this type in Brookhaven. We have a number of services in the area. We have a large building, which I'm sitting in today in Quorum, that houses 6 different programs. We serve adults and children, the substance use disorders, health, mental health issues. We have some community residents in Suffolk County. We have 3, 1 in Manorville, 1 in Dix Hills, and 1 in Setauket, that are for children who are facing mental health challenges. And then we have large offices in Smithtown as well as Huntington, and we have a clinic presence in Wyandanch.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, this project is for 55 plus. So that the Welllife itself has a variety of servicers, but this one will be specific to 55 and older.
100% senior housing. 100% affordable senior housing.
Yes.
Any other questions for the representative of the applicant? If none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved. Polakowski.
Second, Felix Grucci.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan?
I'm going to abstain because my son works for one of the consultants.
Ms. Scheit?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
One votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. The next item on the agenda is Segme Brookhaven LLC. This project is also on the north side of Horse Block Road. It's in Yaphank. It's west of the Long Island Compost Facility, just for a frame of reference. It's approximately 41 vacant acres, and they are proposing to build 561,000 square feet of spec industrial. It's going to be 3 buildings. The plan is to create 125 FT full-time equivalent positions. It's a $123 million project. They're requesting mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and a 20-year pilot. And they are in discussion with potential end users, but do not have anyone as of yet. So it's still another spec project in front of us. Mr. Russo is counsel for this project. I don't know if your client is.
My client is not.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions for Eric, or any questions about the project?
I would
Just
like
the
to
same
correct-
question I had asked the prior applicant for spec. Would your client prefer to wait until the report is out to determine whether or not there is sufficient enough of demand for yet another, I thought I heard 500,000 square foot of warehousing?
So for the record, the acreage is 50.2 acres, not 40,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and there are substantial buffers. And for the record, we've been through the planning board through 2 meetings to get this site plan approved and resolve the issue about the last mile Amazon issue, because we have tenants that they are in discussions with presently. But for you giving the benefits here, we've been systematically working on getting the necessary approvals to start and close on the property, which we're buying from Robert Tucci as of the month of October. We've gotten planning board approval. We have our CEQA determination. We've also gone to the sewer agency, and we have gotten our sewer agency approval, which was done July 25th. So there is a checklist of requirements because we have a due diligence, and the client is saying, you're the next stop on the list. If we get approval from you, he is then prepared, given interest rates and costs of materials, to go forward. He has 6 other facilities in New Jersey, 1 in California, of warehouse. He has every intention to rent the facility, and he's in discussion with food, industrial, logistics, and retail industries. I provided all the information. There were a total of 26 prospective tenants. He's in negotiation with 4 at the present time. The tenants such are Katzman Produce, Food Bazaar, Tiffany Foods, Fresh Direct. There are others such as Luxury Home, DSV, and that he has provided the list to the planning board and the planning division. We are not looking to wait. We want to go forward. He is committed to the project, and I appreciate your study being done, but the information he has done in research, and he also, his project appeared as number 6 in industrial space in the August 7th article, because I spoke with James Medora myself on the Friday before the article came out, after discussing it with Lisa. We reviewed the project with Howard Gross, your counsel, who we were assigned to. All the information is accurate, on point, both for the finances, but for your approval, we would not go forward because he needs the relief that you're providing. So in answer to your question, Mr. Grucci, we want to go forward today. I provided the financials to Mr. Braun this morning so he could review them. And I was told that they were adequate, and we've already contracted with VHB, who is the engineer for the project, to do the economic feasibility study, which we should have probably within the next 2 weeks. So there's a full commitment here to go forward. and we are requesting your approval today.
Thank you, council.
Have their finances, did you look at the
Finance
financials?
of the individual behind this organization is extremely strong.
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
You Felix, try a second. Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Markowski,
Yes.
Ron votes yes. The application is accepted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and we appreciate your consideration and approval and hope to move forward within the next 6 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other guests, or we move back?
Mm-mm.
No more guests,
No
right?
more guests?
Should we just finish the applications while we're in there?
Sure, why not?
Okay. The next application on the agenda is for 925 Waverly Visiontron. They have a subtenant application in front of you for a company called US Carpet. So Visiontron, just to remind everybody, is a company at 925 Waverly that manufactures, like,
I'm looking for,
what's the matter?
There it is.
Is there?
Okay. You know, like when you go to an airport or a movie theater and they have the retractable, the pieces that sort of paddle us? That's what they make, those sorts
Go to
of
the bank.
things.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah,
Credit.
yes, well, they have them all, they have them actually in the cafeteria over there, all over the place, those types of products. And they have extra space, so they have a subtenant application to take in about 14,000 square feet. They had a tenant in there that was using roughly 12,000 square feet that was the original owner of the building. They knew that they were transitioning out. They have subsequently transitioned out. And now they have US Carpet, who's going to use this for an office and warehouse for the storage and distribution of carpet and carpet products. Their application says they have 54 employees. They're going to be adding another 8. And the whole building is about 80,000 square feet.
This runs up to date with pilots and everything, and good project.
They've been good, yeah.
So just need to accept this as a subtenant.
So move, Marty Callahan.
Thank you.
Second, Van Boyne.
Thank you. Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Markowski,
Yes.
Trotter,
yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. It's accepted.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is another subtenant application. It's for the Hopesville Industrial Project. The subtenant is Hot Gen Health. This Hopesville Industrial is actually may have been one of the first spec industrial projects that we did. It was an existing building that they rehabbed and opened up for multi-users, and it's on Corporate Drive in Holtzville. Hot Gen Health is headquartered in China, and they are a manufacturer of health tests, and they have 1 employee. They're going to add 6. They are looking to lease 3,100 square feet of office space.
Same question. Also industrials, up to date with everything.
All good.
Okay.
So they're going from 1 to 7 employees or 1 to 6?
That's just on a supplement. Yeah.
Yeah, they have 1 employee here.
Okay.
They're gonna add 6 more
Yeah,
because of this additional space.
Move to accept.
Thank you. Second? I'll second.
Oh,
Thank you. Mr. Callahan?
I'll abstain on this one as well because they're clients.
Okay. Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
yes.
Markowski,
Yes.
Gucci,
Yes.
votes yes, that is accepted. All right, I think we now want to go back to the agenda as printed, so our minutes of
Thank
our
you.
meeting of July 19th have been shared with everyone. Motion to accept those, please.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
Seconded.
Any questions on the minutes? Thank you, Josh, for doing a great job. Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Scheich?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Rucci?
Yes.
One vote yes, the minutes are accepted.
Just for the record, Anne Marie made the second on that.
Lori, you want to take over?
Okay, included in your package is the operating results for the month of June and year-to-date in comparison to budget. For the month of June, we had a closing, so actually that closing alone put us back in the black for the first time this year. And we also had some application fees, which you see coming through during the month of June. Year-to-date, our number is in the black slightly, 25,000, but overall, we're ahead of what we budgeted. Any questions? The other item I did want to mention is that all payroll taxes have been paid in accordance with federal and state guidelines. All regulatory reports have been filed in a timely fashion. All state regulatory payments have been made in accordance with state guidelines in a timely fashion. And lastly, I just want to mention that all the pilots have been paid and received and dispersed as mentioned previously. Everything has been made timely as due. So at this point, we're done with pilots for the year.
John, we got to do that within 30 days of receipt. And they created 50 now. Anything else, Lori?
That was it.
Any motion to accept the report?
Motion. Frank Trotter.
Second,
Anne Marie Scheich?
thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
You okay with this one?
I need to be harassed by somebody.
Mrs. Scheich? Mrs. Scheich?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Polakowski?
Yes.
Ron votes yes, the report is accepted.
Did we make? No, I think it's still Lori, right?
No,
No, we're
Lloyd's
done.
not.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Thank you,
You're not
everybody.
paying attention.
We're
Sorry.
talking about important business.
Yes.
The cookies.
Pretty good.
Okay, so, since we're taking things out of order, this is a little bit awkward, but we do have some resolutions. The first resolution is for G4 18197 LLC. We had a public hearing this morning for that project. There was no comment. Included in your packet is the cost benefit analysis for this, the pilot study that Camoin did, and also the pilot. This, just to remind everybody, is a market rate housing project in East Patchogue. It's a roughly $9 million project, and the plan is for 40 residential units, of which 4 will be affordable and 4 will be workforce. So this is a final authorizing resolution, and I think Mr. Curry is on,
For EB?
but also,
This isn't the
Go ahead.
question of location. Is this where the old Plaza Theater is? That the one?
this, oh man, you're taxing my
There are 2 or
memory.
3 projects.
Yeah.
Right in that
Patchogue, it's
area.
the Mediterranean Manor.
Oh,
That's
moving
what I'm
it.
familiar with.
Okay,
Moving it
so G4 is the Plaza.
That's the
It
Plaza
is,
Theater,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, same with me.
Yeah.
And he's on or not on?
He's on. He's
Okay.
coming on right now.
And now I'm confused if this is Peter's project. I think it is.
Well,
Yes.
Peter,
Peter is on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and staff, and Barry Carrigan for that matter. How are you all?
Good.
Yes, I don't really have much to add to what Lisa has said. I think when we made our original presentation to the board, we did let the board know that this property is currently owned by the town of Brookhaven. And it is a tax exempt property. So by doing this IDA transaction, pilot payments will be generated well in excess of what the property currently pays. And also this is part of the downtown renovation that they're looking to do in East Patchogue. It's part of that overlay district. So, we think this is an excellent project, and we look forward to the board asking any questions that you have, and if not, proceeding to a vote.
Peter, your client is buying the property from the town?
That is correct.
And is this where the old Plaza Theater used to be?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay.
how many years ago was that taken down?
not 10.
Oh, yeah, leave.
No.
A little, it might be a little bit more.
Yeah,
It may be
maybe
11.
Yeah, 11 and 12.
I remember it as, I can remember it as the Plaza Theater because I'm growing a little long in the tooth these days.
I think it came down in 10, maybe 12 years. All right, maybe
Yeah.
12 years.
Okay, 110.
Any other questions for Mr. Curry?
Yep.
Entertained a motion to pass the resolution for G4, et cetera.
So moved. Felix Grucci.
Thank you, Felix.
Second,
Second, Marty Galvin.
on the
Thank you,
vote,
Marty.
on the vote, Mike,
Yes.
Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
one vote yes,
Amy, you can leave Peter in.
the motion carries.
I thank you very much for the approval of this motion.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to hang on a minute? I think we got one other one.
Yeah,
Yes, I do have one more consent resolution, yeah.
I'm gonna skip out of order and just go to the EB Holtzville request that Peter sent in. This is a loan extension. It extends the EB Holtzville, which is a Bristol product on the North Service Road of the Expressway and 83, right down the street here. You supported that quite a few years ago. This is a request to extend the maturity of their loan from August, like basically now until December of 22. They're requesting that the agency execute a consent reaffirmation agreement and amendment. It's with Wells Fargo and there's no benefits being requested.
Peter, why this such a short extension?
Because I think they're negotiating a longer term one, not only for this, but for a couple of other loans that they have with Wells Fargo.
Okay. Any other questions for him?
No, that was gonna be my question.
Move the resolution.
Thank you.
Second, Frank Trotter.
Frank.
That was Anne Marie who made the motion. Okay.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
one vote yes. Resolution moves forward.
Okay, as always, I thank this board and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care,
You too,
Peter.
Bye-bye.
Now going back,
John, he's on a lot of.
I gathered it's more than one.
going back into, we're out of order again. We have a request, a resolution for Island Air. Just to remind everybody, I think it was at our last meeting, you approved a refinance of up to $5 million. Well, like almost as soon as the meeting was over, we got an email from them. It should have been 6 million. So we closed on the 5 million. And then, and just to remind everybody, Island Air is a company in East Setauket that makes air conditioning units like the in-wall, the ones that you see at like a hotel. Now people put them in their house too, but that kind of product. So this is basically just an approval for $1 million to allow them to borrow, refinance $1 million more. I think it was just a miscommunication, but there's no mortgage reporting tax. So that's what's in front of you right now.
Marie Scheit moves the resolution.
Thank you. Second,
Frank Trotter seconds it.
thank you. Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Gucci,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
one vote yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have the resolution for US carpet subtenant. So usually we do these at the same time. I apologize. We just.
We accepted the application. but,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I'll make that resolution.
thank you, Fred.
Second, somebody,
Second,
Mr.
Marty
Callahan,
Galvin.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Trotter,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Ron, yes.
Motion carries.
It does.
The next item is the Hot Gen Health subtenant, the resolution for that project. You're abstaining, thank you. That's Marty Callahan is abstaining. Okay.
We need a motion first.
So move, Anne Marie Schick?
I'll second it. On the vote, Mr. Callahan. Mr. Scheck,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes,
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
McCoskey.
Yes.
One votes yes, that's accepted too.
I think maybe we should go into executive session to discuss lawsuits before we go any further.
legal matters.
Legal matters, lawsuits, yeah.
Well,
that's
it's-
phrased
yeah.
as lawsuits.
I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Mark Gallen.
Thank you.
Second, Frank Trotter.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Scheck,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
McCoskey.
Yes.
Yes.
Roland votes yes.
Just
We
will you
are-
send Felix and.
Yes.
Need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved, Mark Callahan.
Second, Anne Marie Schick?
We vote Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Scheck,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
McCoskey.
Yes.
Yes, we are back in the regular session.
We'll just give Amy a second to work on technology. Is it working?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the boardroom.
We're working on it, Felix.
Okay.
I'm gonna spin it.
I touched the button on the bottom before we walked out.
Yes.
Okay, now I got you.
Can you bring Stephen in? Sorry.
I jumped to the last one.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's,
You can
sit up. Sorry, everybody.
Maybe we're gonna be the director of technology for the idea. LDC.
I love how you have to do it three times.
That's on media room, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, Felix.
The irony is not lost.
Things change, Felix.
You can't see the orange juice cans in the spring.
Okay, so I think Stephen Angel just joined us, so
I'm
going-
here. I'm trying to,
That's fine, that's fine.
We can hear you. It's gonna be quick.
So I just wanted to take some things out of order.
there I am
Oh,
in
hello.
all my, not glory.
Well,
The next item on the next resolution on the agenda is the Ron Cub condemnation determinations and findings. This packet of information was shared with you prior to our last meeting, so I know everybody has had ample time to review it and digest it. Does anyone have any questions about it? And does anybody have any questions and or for Mr. Angel, who is our condemnation counsel?
before
Oh.
then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to
sorry.
recuse myself from that meeting.
Sure.
and we'll get you back in the room in a minute.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
sorry, Okay, so
Good, let's get a motion on the table to accept the findings, please. So moved.
Second.
Mark
that was
Gallen.
Marty,
Anne Marie Schick?
thank you. Does
All right.
anyone have any questions? Okay,
No,
none.
on the vote. Mr.
Yes.
Callahan. Scheck,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
I'm going to vote yes, but I'd like to make the record clear that I'm not a big advocate or supporter for condemnations, but I think in this particular case, the IDA and the town of Brookhaven has worked very closely with the Mensch company to try and find an alternative solution, which would have been a location for them, which would have been giving them assistance through the IDA, which would have involved giving them market value for their property and having TriTech offer them a fair and reasonable price for their property. I think we've exhausted all of our avenues, and in the best interest of the town of Brookhaven and its residents, I'll vote yes for the findings, which means yes for the condemnation.
you, Mr. Polakowski,
I echo Felix's comments. I'd like to add that I understand, the dilemma that has been posed to our, our board. I understand that, the Mensch property is one of the last that is being dealt with in this manner. I am not favorable to condemnation proceedings, but I do believe that we have exhausted the ability of our board to get involved in any more ways than we have. The negotiating between TriTech and Mensch is necessary for this to be solved and point for the best interests of our of Brookhaven and our residents. I'm voting yes for this this motion.
Thank you, Gary. Everyone votes yes, the motion carries. The minute should note that Mr. Trotter recused himself from the discussion and the vote on this matter.
But the minutes also show that both the Civic Association and the relevant chambers of commerce endorsed this project.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Angel, anything to comment on?
No, I think that you've deliberated quite a bit on this issue already. You've had 2 public hearings, one with the first 27 parcels, and then a separate public hearing on the 6 parcels that we're talking about, the Mensch controlled parcels. You entered into a contract with TriTech after a lot of deliberation and a lot of history with the town and the studies. I think it's a rational decision. I truly do. I mean, it's condemnation's always the last resort, but this is a very important, worthwhile project that's going. I mean, I go to Ronkonkoma Railroad Station to pick people up every once in a while, and they're going great guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm leaving.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Fast train.
You changed the song.
Does he have to get him
Let
out?
the record reflect that I've returned.
I did.
after-
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the slate of officers. If, as I mentioned in the LDC meeting, Lenore Paprocki had to resign her role, her position. And as a result, we need to update our slate of officers to remove Lenore from our list of board members effectively.
Move the resolution. Very shy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, Marty Callahan.
Thank you.
Vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Polkowski,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Ron votes yes. Motion
And we sent her a letter thanking her for her service or anything that we can. She was very good. What's that?
The town board usually does recognitions like that.
Not that we do.
Yeah, I mean, at least.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is removing Lenore from the Governance, Audit, and Finance Committees.
And Murray Scheidt seconds Marty
Do
Callahan's
we
motion.
have to do that, or do we just have to adopt what the finance committee did?
No, because that would.
No. We have to do it. The IDA has to do it.
Except you.
Second Marty's.
Thank you.
This is Marty's.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Grucci,
Yes.
Polkowski?
Yes.
One votes yes, and motion carries as well.
Okay, and keeping in sort of the housekeeping, we as you know, we engaged an HR firm to help us with sort of professionalizing some of our putting together a employee handbook, some of the things that we didn't have when we were part of the town that now we realize we really need. So in working with the HR firm, and also because we had an employee separate, which we really hadn't had, it made us sort of look at our resolutions and some of our policies a little more carefully, and we realized we had some holes in them. So I think it's been a healthy process. So that's what the next 4 resolutions are in result from. So the first one is changes to our longevity policy. There's two main changes to it. The first one is that if somebody separates, their longevity will be prorated depending on when they separate. And the other one is, right now, we're set up so that longevity is paid on your anniversary, which a lot of this stuff we followed what the town did. Doesn't really make sense for an operation our size. So what I'm suggesting is a change to the longevity that says that we will pay longevity at the end of the calendar year, which means for this, if this is agreeable with you guys, this year, what we're going to do is, pay everybody their longevity. Come December, pay them the difference, and then next year, pay in December, at the end of the year. So if that's agreeable to everybody, I know that takes some dancing. It's a little bit of a dance now, but it'll clean it up for Lori going forward.
You have each one of these as individually.
Annette, can we do these as a block or?
Yeah, do them as a block.
Okay, so there's that, there's the longevity. The next one is health and other insurance. This is really just cleanup of the language in the resolution in talking to what's the matter?
He was.
I lost
Here, take mine.
No.
I have mine right here. I don't even use it. I haven't even touched it yet.
Sorry, Frank, it's a very odd.
Like having some.
I was trying to go back and all of a sudden something
Because
came
I'll
up.
just.
We're in the meeting room.
Um,
Not helping us, right? Definitely not helping us.
Media room?
Yeah, that's what's.
Gremlins.
Couldn't be operator. So
It's in books.
So then health,
Oh, it's in books.
Help and other.
health and other insurance, that's just cleaning up the language and working with the HR firm. They basically said to us, you don't acknowledge some of the things that you do. It needs to be acknowledged. So and some of the language was awkward. If you read it, you were like, do we mean this? Do we mean that? So we just really cleaned up the language, and that has been involved in this process with us, approving what we're doing. Fred has been helping us through this process, approving what we're doing. So there's that one, and then the paid time off, the accrual time resolutions we used to have it so that everything was written out, and the HR people were like, why not just do a chart that shows you get this many days at this point, you get that many days at that point. It was very convoluted, and see the schedule attached, so we just simplified it. Just made it a lot cleaner, crisper. It was, I want to make sure that when somebody looks at these in 100 years, they make sense. Not, oh, we knew what we meant. No, they say what we mean. So that's what we did with that one. And then that's for the management employees. For the non-management employees, we're leaving it as is for our current employees, but anyone who's hired, I think I put 1/1 of 2022, although there was nobody hired between then and now, but it just seemed like it was cleaner to have it start at the beginning of the year. We changed the schedule of paid time off again, so it's cleaner. So it's days that divide out meter, so that Lori isn't working with a decimal point that goes on forever. We've got like pi in our equations. It's insane. So those are the changes that we made in those.
I need one resolution to cover longevity, health and insurance, paid time off for management, and paid time off for non-management.
Just a quick question. None of the things that we're doing here alters the existing pay schedules for everyone, does it?
Lisa?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, nothing that we're going to be doing with these 4 resolutions as one blanket would be altering or changing the salary structure.
No, it has nothing to do with salaries. Longevity, so a payment for your continued employment at the IDA. Health insurance and other, we put other in there because it's got dental and vision and those kind of things in there, but it's primarily your health, the employee's health benefits. And then paid time off, so you know, I'm gonna take some time off, it follows the policy.
Okay. And to that extent, the paid time off, it doesn't increase or decrease the amount of days that an employee currently gets, does it?
There were some rounding issues, but nothing increased it more than like a day over a year. And that was, I don't even think that impacted anybody. It was just to clean it up. I went over everything with Fred to make sure that we were, you know, just keeping everything pretty standard.
And my last question deals with the health and other. We're not adding any more benefits or taking any benefits away from an employee, are we?
No, all we're doing is, so when we realized that we needed to offer health insurance because we were no longer town employees and we couldn't have the benefits through the town, you guys voted, you passed a resolution, but some of those pieces of that resolution that you passed in December of 2020, I think, never got articulated in this resolution. And so when we were working on the HR handbook, the HR firm said to me, you're silent on this, this, and this. And I said, no, we're not. We do this, this, and this. But it was from one resolution that you guys did in 2020 and it never got incorporated into here. So now we've just incorporated everything that you guys said then you wanted to do into this resolution. So it's clear and I think easier to follow.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when you're done with this whole thing, you have a nice neat packet that you can.
Yes, yes, we're getting very close. So
Can we get a copy
of
of that?
course, you're gonna get it and you're going to approve it. I hope.
Okay, but we'll get it beforehand too, because it's a
Yes.
lot of.
It's a lot. I don't have it yet.
No, I know, but that's it.
We've got drafts.
Yeah, in
We got-
other words,
we got-
yeah, I don't, yeah, if you could give us a
Yes.
month before the meeting.
And we can give it to you guys and you guys can, at the meeting, say, this doesn't work, and we can revamp it and bring it back the next month. It's been a work in
Yeah,
progress.
no, but it's good. And number one, your employee needs to know and you need to know how to implement it
Yes.
too.
Facts are,
We're probably not in compliance by not having a manual.
I think it's the law.
I don't know.
It's nice to have.
It's just nice, it's nice to have. It's a professional organization has one.
facts are, we're a spin-off.
Right,
We have a
right,
lot of
and
work
now
to do.
we're putting it together.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
So,
good.
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion
why I had
that already been made.
Henry Scheib moves this omnibus resolution.
Thank you.
Mike Callahan seconds.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
McCoskey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Callahan,
Yes.
Vaughn votes yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. The next item on the agenda is the hybrid meetings. Like with the LDC, we had a public hearing this morning. There was no comment and no participation, but this also allows us to have a hybrid meeting, both in person and through a video conference tool, whichever tool ends up making the most sense. As long as we have a quorum of board members in the room with us, and the board members that participate through the video conference must have a quote unquote extraordinary circumstance, which, as I outlined before, are illness, quarantine, caregiving, out of the state. I don't remember the other ones that are in here, but quarantine, disability, caregiver responsibilities, or any other significant or unexpected factor or event approved by the board chair, which includes a member's physical attendance at any meeting.
All that said, I need a resolution to accept that.
Motion, Frank
Thank you.
Tribe.
Thank you, Frank.
Ruth, you want to second it?
Yes.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Gucci,
Yes.
McCoskey,
Yes.
Paddock,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. Thank you.
Okay, we're done.
Yes.
We'll make it.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is Macedo Construction. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we did in fact terminate their project. Prior to the termination, I received a letter which is included in your packets. We went through with the termination. They did not show up. I tried to, when I got the letter, I reached out to them, but I was unable to get anybody on the phone. We went ahead with the termination. They did not show up, and they have not made payment. And I think what I'm going to recommend is that we send a demand letter and demand that they pay the outstanding balances.
I think that's very appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need a resolution.
That's good.
Okay, so thank you. We're gonna move ahead with that. Board member was just, Ms. Paprocki's resignation is in your packets. It's already been provided to the town board since they appointed her, and they are aware that we are down a member. So hopefully we'll have a new member soon. Board assessments.
I think we discussed everything we needed to
Yep.
in the local development corporation.
Yep.
Got a couple of thoughts on marketing. We'll do about that. We'll keep everybody happy. And we'll come back with some ideas about the community and what we might do that we're not doing now.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. You know, one more thing, we did get a company sent us a board education training video, I guess. It was a couple of $100s. We could either rent it for a month or own it. The price differential wasn't huge between owning it. I think it's an hour, 15 minutes, an hour and a half video, and it's like everything you need to know to be an effective board member. I haven't seen it. I don't.
In general or idea?
Economic development.
Oh.
So,
I used to wear that hat too.
well, we're still, we
Yeah,
are
I know.
still an economic development entity. So we could buy that if people are interested and if people are gonna spend the hour and a half watching it. If it's, if nobody's,
See if they can send you a 5 or 10 minute piece of that. So you can review it
and
to see
see.
if it makes any sense.
Okay, yep. Okay. I'll let you guys know what I find about that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a breakfast meeting that we are planning. Amy's been working really hard on this. We noticed that we are getting a lot of emails that outline all the legislation that impacts IDAs. And we thought maybe we should invite all of our state elected officials to a breakfast and have sort of a meet and greet and talk about what the IDAs do, make sure that they know that they have a contact here, and if they have questions about practical applications of the legislation that's coming in front of them, that we're available to help them, let them know how things impact us, and maybe even let them know some things that they could do that would help us. So that's scheduled for September 15th at,
We have a 9:30 time right now. It's not, we could change it.
okay,
And it's at Home 2 Suites at the Yaphank Meadows, the new hotel.
and once we have,
You would do.
You could call that.
I could.
there's no up there.
I'll be up at 5 a.m.
But it's a nice place.
having an anxiety attack, but it doesn't matter.
Nice.
And so as soon as we have that finalized, obviously we will send you guys invites as well, but
Yes.
maybe put a little asterisk on your calendar. So
It's
You
a
don't-
Thursday.
It's a Thursday morning. You don't, obviously you don't have to attend, but I think it would be nice if, they had more points of contact, more board members,
So
more.
it's stated.
So it would be our Brookhaven Senate and Assembly members.
Okay. What about county, even though?
We're not going to do county at this point
No,
because the
No.
legislation is coming down from the state. So
Okay.
we're focusing on that.
And the county doesn't provide any laws that impact us. It's just the state.
Okay, now I'm thinking, educating them with regard, they get the constituent comes in, oh, go see Brookhaven IDA, so it's not IDA. That's what
We have a great relationship with Suffolk County IDA. If project comes in Brookhaven, they send them straight
no,
to
I'm talking
us.
about the legislature.
Right, but even if the legislator sends them to Suffolk County
They
IDA,
send
they
them
send them to
back.
us. Yeah, so we've got a
Yeah.
pretty good,
Yep, I understand.
Maybe what we ought, maybe one of the things we ought to look at for that is pending legislation, which may be on the governor's desk, not to have been signed yet.
I have reached out to both Ryan Silva and Mitch Pally, who have sent me a lot of information and broken it down by what's on the, what's sitting in the assembly, what's it past the, kind of broke it down for me. So we could, as we get closer, pull some of that. And we were thinking about making a little short PowerPoint, which is some bullets that if we want to throw it out there, we can open it up to discussion. So.
so that's just a point of reference. The September meeting date, we discussed September 27th at 12:30. We need a resolution to set that for the IDA as well as the LDC.
Motion, Frank Trotter.
Second, I'll second it.
Thank you, Fred.
Easy vote. Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Mr. Grucci?
Yes.
Paul Kowski?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bourne votes yes. Motion
Okay.
carried.
Thank you. Included in your packet is a letter that we received from the supervisor regarding Islip's construction wage policy. This is similar to a letter that we received from the supervisor just before our last board meeting about Suffolk County's Long Island First policy. At our last meeting, Bill Weir indicated that, well, first of all, that we've had a policy in all of our, two things. We have a construction wage policy that we've had for a very long time, but we also have Exhibit G is part of all of our closing documents. Bill had said that he will strengthen the language, I think was his expression, but something along those lines to fold in some of the Long Island First policy. So I'm going to speak with Bill, or maybe now that Barry's on the call, Barry can speak to Bill about strengthening the language of the policy.
Oh, I lost the vocal.
Me too.
I can't hear anybody. I think we also lost the feed.
Yeah, it looks like they're frozen.
I don't even see them. I see Terry. Hi, Terry.
Yep, she can hear us.
Yeah.
Well, they're dropping off like flies.
I see the board now. Hold on. Is
No,
everybody?
It's back to the way it used to be.
I can hear you guys because I'm actually in the office. I'm not in the media room.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
So I think they're setting up the other camera now.
You hear us?
I'm gonna press this button.
Yep, I can hear you, Lisa.
I'm not pressing-
Practice is
People sabotage our meetings in here, huh?
I'm not touching
And maybe.
Okay, so while this is still working, I just want to say very quickly, Barry, if you wouldn't mind just talking with Bill and building on our, I think it's Exhibit G, that would be greatly appreciated.
Not a problem. Happy to do so.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda. I just wanted to let everybody know, I think we've discussed this in the past, that we are in the process of doing some renovations and some cleanup and fixing up our office. The first step was to get a lease, which we now have. The next step,
Thank you, Annette.
yes, thank you. The next step is that we are going to do a small construction project in the office. We are going to, I think, get new carpet. We are going to have the offices painted and we're going to buy new furniture. We have been getting quotes and getting all of this together to try and figure out what this is going to cost. I think that it's going to be less than $100,000, although we did just get an email from the person that does the furniture informing us that prices are going up. So I think what I'm going to ask for is authority of up to $150,000. I don't think it's going to come in close to that. And I can do, if you think 100,000 is more appropriate, I can come back to you if it looks like we're getting close to that, but that's.
And that would include furniture, carpet,
The whole thing.
The
painting,
painting and the construction.
Making us look nice.
What kind of construction are we doing?
So Lori's office doesn't have a door. We're putting a door in, and my office. Yes.
Could have a shower curtain too.
Yes.
We'll get you to all, Lori.
We just lost Gary, I think. Okay, so then, and also my office has a hallway outside of it that's just really dead space, so we're gonna move my door so I gain some space in my office.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
So I need a resolution. I'm not doing anything without working with Fred. So Fred's been lockstep with us this whole process, running everything through Fred.
I'll make a motion to authorize you to have up to $150,000 to work with.
Felix.
Is there a second?
Second, Marty Callahan.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski, if you're with us,
I think he's dropped off.
Rucci,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Yes. You have it.
Okay, thank you so much. The next item on the agenda, I just want to give you a heads up that Sunrise Wind, we have been meeting with them and it looks like they're making progress. So we need to get an updated application. The county just authorized the two resolutions. I got them this morning, the signed versions. They said just send me the officials. And I think
I said yes. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary, sorry.
They are going to give us an updated application because the route has changed since the original application, and I suspect maybe the costs have changed too, if they're like everybody else. So we're gonna get that hopefully soon, and then we will be able to present that to the board and then set the public hearing. So as soon as they get that to us, we'll get it over to you guys and get it on the next agenda. Hopefully that will be soon because that's a very exciting project. I haven't talked to Joss about some of the nuances of it, but we'll talk about that later. The last item I think on the agenda is the CDC annual luncheon. They have requested our sponsorship. It is scheduled for October 27th at 11:30 at the Crest Hollow Country Club. They have a whole, various luncheon sponsorship levels. I think we've done this in the past at the level of 5,000. That includes a table with 10 seats and your logo on the invitation program and advertising and also a table sign.
And Jim Conklin's the honorary.
Yes.
From Triton.
Is that what you would recommend,
Yes.
Fred? Okay.
Yes. Stick to what we did.
It will be a toast and roast.
Correct. It will?
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's departing from this.
You need a motion?
Motion.
I'll try. Second, Marty Callahan.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Shay, you gonna abstain?
I will, just to make sure.
Okay. Mr. Rucci,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Yes.
I will also abstain, although it's borderline, but just to play it safe. As long as we have a vote.
He's on the.
It's not a decision making. In fact, we haven't met much.
Yeah, it's your table.
Yeah.
That is the,
Oh, you know what? I got one more thing. You attended a meeting today about master trailer. Just update everybody from what you heard.
It's just preliminary sketch. It looks like a great planned community with potential, but there's no details yet. You know, I just said to you guys earlier. The developer had a very good planner, you know, and it's a way to capitalize on proximity to the ocean, which is, you know, east and most of the value they realized a long time ago came from the water. And the councilman, you know, Dan gave them a lot of local information that they didn't go on their own, particularly the historical significance. And I guess up north, they tapped into some of the development there, relative to Talmadge and whatnot. So it looked good, but they're not that far along. It's in downtown Mastic neighborhood road and places that some of us are familiar with. You know,
so we've been meeting with them for quite some time. We've been going over the memorandum of agreement, memorandum of understanding. And this was the first meeting where they actually had some conceptual plan of what they think it's going to look like. They have been playing with whether it's going to be rentals, if the portion is going to be home ownership, which that leaves what our role will be in it, but we're waiting for them to sort of figure it out to
yeah,
see what.
as you would ask, they're nowhere near that at this point.
No.
And that's a critical mass that if you tilt it one way or the other, it could be, you know.
You'll be involved to some extent.
So we've been participating in a lot of meetings.
It's a great project.
And we don't have an application yet.
And
Yeah,
they
but it
know.
will be a great
as far as the
project. It's just a
condemnation,
matter of
they
time.
want
Oh,
50%, but it's
Yes.
50% of what? The number of parcels, which would be a huge number.
Yeah.
Or the land area, or, so they're trying to figure out 50% of what to come back to us.
Yeah, and they also asked if we would be willing to do 50%, if they do it in phases, if we would do 50% of each phase, which it's a little bit dicey.
So, but we'll come back to board with that.
Yeah.
They, Councilman Panico also wants them to do colonial type architecture because it's close to the Smith Estate and things like that. So that was some of his input.
Right. Anyone's got anything else to bring up?
That's
Felix,
good.
Gary, you okay?
I'm good.
Thank you, Barry.
Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Markowski?
Yes.
Rucci?
Yes.
One votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everyone. Have a good day.
Yep.
Good day.
Take care.